Are we still America's allies now that America is openly using Kremlin propaganda? Trump is clearly one of the worst negotiators in geopolitical history. The first time ever an American president has criticised an ally for not surrendering to an invading army. You fucking pussyhole. Trump claiming that Ukraine started the war is like Roosevelt saying, well, what the fuck were those ships doing in Pearl Harbor in the first place? The art of the deal, eh? The great negotiator showed his hand after 2 seconds, showed the world that he'd been entirely captured by Kremlin talking points. Instead of at least pretending to be neutral so that he could get his Nobel Peace Prize, he immediately showed that he was openly hostile to one of the parties, and not the invader, the invaded. The art of the deal. Eh? The guy negotiating with Russia is a Fox News host. Although, what's the point of a functioning Defence Department if you're going to surrender to your enemy after just 1 month in office? Imagine being the President of the United States with the richest man in the world as your pet and still shitting the bed every time someone points out that you're being a wanker. And you can tell that Trump doesn't actually think Zelensky is a dictator because his nose isn't nestled up Zelensky's anus whilst giving him a reach around like he does with real actual dictators. The UK didn't have a general election for 10 years because of World War II. That doesn't make Winston Churchill a dictator. Zelensky has not banned opposition parties, just the ones openly pro-Russian. Just like we banned the fascist party when Hitler was bombing the shit out of us on a nightly basis. Zelensky has not banned independent media, just pro-Russian propaganda. And NATO expansionism is not the reason we have this war. NATO expansion on Russia's borders stopped in 2004. So what? Russia was so annoyed that they waited 10 years to invade Crimea and then a quick 8-year breather and then on to Ukraine. Utter bollocks.
All right, he hit all of my favorite points. That was Tom Walker playing his character Jonathan Pye, and I want to play some more clips of me talking to Trump supporters, of Americans convincing people that, hey, we need to support Ukraine because right now, more than ever, it's time to double down on our support. And the best way to do that is via just messaging. We need to make sure we're messaging this correctly so we can stick the landing and make sure Ukraine has continued support. And you know, a lot of Republicans have been pushing back on Donald Trump. They've been saying, dude, you're wrong about Zelensky. He's not a dictator. We saw that from the New York Post, from Ben Shapiro. Even Fox News hosts were saying Trump is not telling the truth here. So make sure you drop a like, comment some blue hearts to help boost this video, and let's continue. What do you think about the funding of Ukraine?
No, I don't think that should happen.
Why not?
Because we need to take care of America first.
I'd make the argument that funding Ukraine is exactly how we put America first, because a lot of people think we're sending cash backs, but we're sending old military equipment, right? And after we send that military equipment, we get to create new American jobs to restock and repile that.
That's a good point.
On top of that, do you think Vladimir Putin's our enemy?
Not really.
Really, why not?
Because I think he's trying to run his own country. And he's not, I don't think he is a threat to America.
It's okay that he's running his own country, but the problem is when he starts to invade other countries next to him. So we should protect our allies, essentially, right?
I agree. So that's like us trying to invade Canada.
And that wouldn't be okay.
Right.
So to piece my argument together, we're creating new American jobs, and in the process, we get to protect an ally, a sovereign country, Ukraine, from, I think Vladimir Putin is a dictator. He's a threat. He's not a good guy. So I think we're protecting America's interests. I think this is exactly how we put America first, right? Can you see that point of view? That
is a very good point. That's a good point. You've educated me a lot. I appreciate that.
Awesome, and we're both coming from the same point of view of putting America first.
Right.
How can we put America first on the world stage? And sometimes it scares me when they say we put America first by letting Vladimir Putin do what he wants. That doesn't make sense.
Right. How old are you?
21.
You're very wise for your age.
I always like that clip. Now let's end it off with this one that says, American man destroys Putin apologist. Check this out.
The idea that you can just move in and take over places because there might be some conflict there just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any more sense than if Southern California suddenly had a bunch of Mexican separatists there that wanted to break that away and have them join Mexico. The rest of the world wouldn't say, well, United States, you just have to kind of cede your sovereignty there and allow some of your states to break away and join Mexico. Of course not. We would hold on to that land because it's our sovereign territory. And since 1991, Ukraine has had distinct borders that have been recognized by not only the rest of the world, but Russia itself, and no amount of separatist movements, especially ones that are funded by Russia, allow them to break away and just join Russia. And then the reason why I don't like to go back historically is because when people want to go back historically, they only go back so far. You hear Putin and you hear all these other people talk about, well, the people in the East, they feel Russian, they speak Russian, they've got a lot of Russian ethnic roots. Yeah, of course, that's because during events like the Holodomor, millions of Ukrainians were forcibly starved to death, their wheat was requisitioned, and people that were trying to flee towns were shot and murdered by Soviet troops. So after millions of people die and hundreds of thousands of Russians, ethnic Russians, are shipped in, which the Soviet Union did to all of their little republics that they had gotten as part of the Soviet Union, to go back into the past and then to come forward into the future and say, well, look, there's a lot of ethnic Russians there now, to say that a prior genocide can supersede the sovereign borders drawn around a country in 1991, and then we go forward to 2020 and say, well, look, there's a lot of ethnic Russians there. That's just absolutely bizarre to me. I think that when we frame the conversation, I think we have to stop saying, well, Russia's worried about this, so they should be able to invade, or Russia likes this, so they should be able to take that. Let's look at it from the Ukraine perspective. They have a country that was recognized internationally with borders since 1991. What right does Russia or any other country have to come in and steal territory from them? I haven't heard a single justification for that.
Amazing points from the American man right there. And as I've said many, many times, most of the talking points, every single talking point that Republicans use to justify the Russian invasion come directly from the Kremlin. Even if they're not directly justifying what Putin did, a lot of them are just muddying the waters enough. They'll say, oh, both sides are at fault in the war, or oh, Ukraine is just as corrupt. No. Both of those are false. Both sides are not at fault. If you were to place the blame, it wouldn't even be 90% Russia, 10 Ukraine. It is 100% Russia. The blame falls 110% on Russia. And now we have stories like this. The US has threatened to cut Ukraine's access to Musk's Starlink if they don't accept the deal soon. I mean, it's corruption to the highest degree, in the sense that Elon Musk bought his way into the White House and is now leveraging his resources to help out Trump, to help out Putin, so Trump could help out Putin. It's all just an absolute mess. So as I said at the beginning of the video, now is the time to double down in this information sphere. When people say that NATO and Biden caused this war, they stoked this war, say that NATO's been on the border of Russia since 2004. I mean, Jonathan Pye said at the beginning of this video, the Baltic countries have been in NATO since 2004. There have never been any threats. It is absolute BS that a defensive alliance like NATO would ever go in and invade Russia. So the idea that Ukraine joining NATO would be a security threat, it's not even feasible whatsoever. Anyone who repeats that is susceptible to Russian propaganda and shouldn't be anywhere near our government. But unfortunately, our president believes that, and our director of national intelligence believes that, and our director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, briefs our president every single day. So it's a scary reality, when half of the people in the new cabinet, probably more, believe straight up Russian propaganda and are more aligned with Vladimir Putin's justification of the war, even though it takes 5 seconds to disprove that all. But I'll leave it at that. Drop a like, subscribe. We're racing towards 1 million because of you guys, so make sure you're subscribed below. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.